is the Pegasus Podcast, presented by Night Sports Now. UCF news, views, and a few hot takes. Now, here are your hosts, Bailey Go Knights Adams and Christian Charge On Simmons.
Welcome into episode 291. Be sure you're following us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at @ByCASimmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. You can also email us at PegasusPodcast@ksn@gmail.com. Christian, how's your voice?
My voice is back.
Boom.
Unlike UCF football, but it's all good. Yes, I can talk again, which is very exciting. Do you think there's a chance that there is some like cosmic thing where my voice has been tied to the UCF offense, and like while the offense was functioning, as was my voice, and when my voice went, so did the offense? Like, is this good news for Kansas that I can speak?
Sure.
That would suck if it was like that, because that would mean that my voice is going to be bad most of the time. Like if my voice is tied to UCF's offense, like Gus in control of my voice the last few years would have been bad.
I was thinking it was like on the other hand, where it was like, do you control UCF's offense? Which I was like, oh, your voice hasn't been like, you don't lose your voice that often, so that's good. And we should be fine now.
I like the idea of me also as a podcast host, like resting my voice for games. Like, oh, it's a big one tomorrow. I better not talk this Friday just in case.
Yeah, I'd be really bad at that because I just scream during the games and then come on the post-game podcast with no voice. So yours was much more mysterious. Yours just disappeared.
Was never sick. Just, one day my voice said, I don't feel like it. And it was like that for a few days.
You've been talking too much lately, brother. That's it.
I literally are. So I've been staying, like watching our dogs and whatever. So like, I haven't even been like talking that much. I said our dogs. I realize that's going to make people think it's like you and my dogs, my parents' dogs,
right? While
they're in Europe. This is the last podcast I'll be doing from their house, by the way. I will be back because they will be back. And like, I think that's what makes it extra rude is I wasn't even really talking that much because I've just been kind of like hanging out, watching the dogs. Like, it's not like I could have worn it out. Maybe like I'm just such a yapper. My voice wasn't used to like not being used. So it didn't know how to react to that. I don't know. I
guess it's possible. Yeah. Real quick, we'll go through some of the stuff we missed from Kansas State, and then we'll move on pretty quickly to the UCF Kansas preview. Just kind of want to turn the page on Kansas State at this point. Couple things. Taven Jackson and Jakari Brown, we knew they obviously both had shoulder injuries that happened very quickly and short time apart. And we saw both of them back in the game even after that. We talked a little bit about it on the post-game podcast, but Scott Frost said this week that both suffered AC sprains. They both have the same injury, happened in the same game.
In the same quarter, or in the same like stretch of time, like 20-ish minutes.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So UCF's monitoring that as the week goes on to see what their availability is like for Saturday. Scott Frost also said that Cam Fancher is back and available, so we're doing this whole thing again. And I assume that whatever got Taven through the game on Saturday can also get him through this game against Kansas. That would be ideal. And then we'll probably see some Jakari too. And hopefully he can have a better game than he did last week. Next thing, UCF's offensive line. Again, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to make of it. We didn't have the news actually this time last week. We did the podcast about obviously we talked about Sean Clark, but that Danny Hope has been brought in he's former Purdue coach. He's coached all over the place, and he was kind of I believe in Cocoa Beach nearby in retirement, and has come back and is helping out with the offensive line now. And Frost talked last week about how he and Sean Clark coached together in the past, so they kind of think very similarly, philosophically, all that kind of stuff.
I think he gave Sean Clark his first ever position coach job.
So. Yeah. And they coached at a couple different stops with each other. So, I mean, for him, I'm sure it means a lot, too, to come back and help UCF right now. But as far as personnel, we've talked about it on this podcast. Like, they're dealing with what they're dealing with at this point with the personnel, and there's not really a situation, I don't think, where it gets to be an elite group. I just still think they're figuring out what they can do with the different spots, because looking at some of the PFF grades, and Jabari Brooks graded out really, really well. He only played 22 snaps. So I don't know if that's something where they need to find some way to get him in the lineup more, but he's been playing left guard. Garden Mimilar has been the left guard for the most part, and he's been pretty good. It's been the right guard spot that's been more of a question mark and more inconsistent. They've had Keegan Smith and Cameron Kenny in there. Kenny's been okay. Keegan Smith hasn't. I don't know. Are we going to do this all year with just
it's funny. We talked about talking about this before we got on the podcast because you were showing me those numbers. And as we're doing it now, I'm like, at what game do we just stop? Because like, I do feel like, I think they're going to try some stuff. I don't think they're just going to accept that the O-line isn't working and go, oh, well, and move on. But as we said in our post-game podcast, it's very much a position group where the personnel you have is the personnel you have. And yeah, you can try different things, but you can't just, if you don't have 5 guys who can really perform at a high level, it's hard to hide that.
Yeah.
And I just think that they're at the mercy of the situation they were dealt. Losing 3 guys to the portal, they were never going to have a great O-line. It was just a question of how much could they mitigate the damage. And I don't think the O-line's a disaster. I just think that, third of the way through the season here, we've seen 4 games. I think when you're writing the book on the 2025 season and what held them back, I do think it's just going to be that offensive line inconsistency. It just sort of limits what you can do. And I don't know. I'm curious. I mean, I feel like Miles and Jaden are going to do what they can, but I also don't think they have that, obviously have that Harvey level guy who's going to be able to really rise above it. It's the personnel they have is the personnel they have.
Yeah. I mean, you can only scheme around it so much, right? Like, I don't think it's really possible to completely hide it. And what we've seen happen so far, again, I don't think it's sustainable because you can't really count on explosive runs the way they have. And, we'll talk. I think I have a little bit more to say about that when we actually get into the Kansas preview, but it's just frustrating because, I mean, it's one of those things where they can't really do anything about it, and I'm frustrated by it 4 games in. I just can't imagine how I'm going to be feeling having watched 8 more games of them running the ball into the backs of their offensive linemen because they can't open any lanes. I don't know. It's frustrating.
It's absolutely. I think that it's what obviously quarterback is number 1, but I like how we have a time crunch. Like, this podcast can't go an hour, and I'm like, let's derail us. Let's derail us. Quarterback, if you're ranking positions that it is most frustrating for a position group to be bad, quarterback would be number 1 because obviously that can just tank everything. Offensive line's number 2, right?
I think so.
Right? Because it just shuts down everything on the offense. That's not what this offensive line is. Like, the passing game, they've been doing what they need to do for the passing game. It's just not being able to establish a run game is is so frustrating. I think partially because I think we in particular are set up badly for it as UCF fans because as everything collapsed around Gus, the one thing that always worked was running the ball. And part of that was the personnel, was RJ Harvey. But it's been a long time since I've seen a UCF team that literally just can't run the ball. It's very, very weird.
Yeah, it's completely new territory. It's not good.
It's fun territory.
Last thing, with that loss, UCF is now 2-8 on the road in Big 12 games since they joined in 2023. It's not great.
Not good. It's not awesome.
Not something we have to worry about this week because UCF's at home against Kansas. But and I guess maybe it's not. I don't know if it's something we have to worry about next week because one of those 2 wins in the 2-8 is at Cincinnati, 2023. But yeah, it's a frustrating stat, and I mean it kind of speaks more that their overall record in the Big 12 is not good. So it's bound to be bad on the road, but it's significantly worse on the road.
Also, UCF's last 2 years in the AAC, they went 4-5 in AAC road games. So that's about a reasonable fall from given the level of competition change. They just haven't been good on the road in a long time at this point.
Now that you mention it, wait a minute.
Was it 2021 where they just couldn't win a road game? It was like the Temple game where Mikey Keene had the 5 touchdowns. I think that was their only road win that year.
Because they went 7-0 at home.
Yeah.
And
they went 9. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
that's
wow.
Yeah.
It hasn't been good for a while.
Right.
Let's move on. Turn the page to a home game this Saturday night. UCF hosting Kansas, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN2. UCF comes in at 3-1, 0-1 in the Big 12. Kansas is 3-2, 1-1 in the Big 12. We will start with the fact you may not know.
Am I going to know the fact?
I don't think you will. If you do, okay. I'm going to be concerned, and you're going to shake your head at this one. I'm getting more and more in the weeds week after week and just finding the stupidest thing I can.
Some of them are like I said, I'm really glad we didn't call them fun facts because you're right. Like, they're not fun in any way, shape, or form. They're just head scratchers a lot of the time. So I'm like really excited.
Me naming this segment, fact you may not know, it has aged so well. Because
I can't. There's no name that better captures the energy of these facts than a fact you may not know. But anyway, please hit me with the fact.
Let's see if this one is one that you know. Does the name Clyde Tombaugh mean anything to you?
Clyde Tombaugh?
Tombaugh, like Tombaugh.
Tombaugh. Yeah, my boy Clyde. Oh, maybe not. Is he a bad guy? Go ahead.
No.
I just realized we're talking about old stuff. Could be a bad guy, but anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So this man, Clyde Tombaugh, he is an astronomer, and he was known for his discovery of Pluto. Famously no longer a planet, but he was known for his discovery of Pluto in 1930. After he discovered Pluto, he went on to earn his bachelor's and master's degrees from the University of Kansas. It's a bizarre timeline to me that you can be an astronomer, you can discover Pluto, and then be like, let me go get my degrees now. And it was at Kansas. 1936 bachelor's degrees, 1938 master's degree.
So first off, let's call a spade a spade. He's a failure. He revealed a planet to us that turned out to not be a planet. And so really he basically what you're saying is almost 100 years ago, this guy was wrong about something important. But do you think that was a big deal when he found Pluto? Like, I know space is a big deal now, but hear me out. We've only existed, let me get philosophical. Us and our parents' generation, and even our grandparents to a degree, have only existed in a world where space was an attainable thing. Like, we go into space, we travel to space, we've been to the moon, we're trying to go to Mars. In 1930, it was just like stuff up there. Like, do you think people cared, or were they just like, okay?
I don't know. Reading about it, it seemed like it was a pretty decent sized deal. I'm laughing because I was thinking of some of the other facts that you may not know that I considered, and one of them was about like the discovery of helium as like as an actual like natural. Again,
that was probably important though. That was probably really important.
So before I'll go into that one, I guess, and I didn't really memorize that one or remember it, so I'm going to butcher it because I didn't actually use it. But it was at some hall on the University of Kansas's campus where, because they knew about helium, like they understood that helium was a thing, but they thought it was rare on Earth. Like, they didn't think it exists. So they found this like weird gas substance somewhere else in Kansas. They brought it to the university, and these two guys, forget their names, were looking into it, and discovered that it had a pretty good percentage of helium in it. And that was a huge discovery at the time, that they actually were like, wait, this helium stuff, it exists under the ground and can be mined for in the Midwest.
I didn't know we mined helium. I thought we
I didn't either. And I
was going to say, I actually have no idea where we got helium from. I don't know. Maybe just opened
it was crazy. So
some drifts in.
I do really quickly want to go back to Clyde Tombaugh for a second. Not a sentence I ever thought I'd say on the podcast or
you just said unique sentence. No one's ever said that. You just said that sentence for the first time. Anyway, tell us about Clyde.
Only other thing I wanted to say, because this is probably the most random. That was a pretty random fact, right?
Yeah.
Here's something that's maybe more random. That's probably not going to mean anything to you, but to me it means something, and maybe some people out there. Does the name Clayton Kershaw mean anything to you?
No. Who's that?
He is a starting pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers. You're laughing. Okay, I was hoping. Dodgers starting pitcher, future Hall of Famer, also played on the same team as Matthew Stafford. Maybe you didn't know that. Everybody knows that. Clyde Tombaugh is his great uncle.
Sure. Okay.
Imagine
your great uncle discovering a planet and you still get more famous than him.
I wish
that suck for Clyde.
There had been a camera on me in my home while I was discovering this, because I was reading about Clyde Tombaugh on his Wikipedia page, and I just happened to look at the little box on the right side, and it said family, and next to family it said Clayton Kershaw. And I was like, surely this is not Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw. Clicked on it, sure enough it is. And I felt like I had to mention it here because the playoffs are starting today.
That all being said, I think you should have gone with the helium one, because this was coming off a game where the Fox announcers called Dylan Edwards a big helium guy like 9 times during the broadcast. Did you catch that they just kept doing that? They're like, he's your helium guy. He's a big helium guy.
I did, actually.
I don't know if I'd ever heard that phrase, and they said it like 9 times. Every time they show him, they're like, there's the helium guy. So
what does it mean?
I think they were trying to say that he's like the guy who hypes the team up and like brings their energy up. But like, I don't really think of helium as a thing that does that.
It'd be funny if they just like use like a drug or something. It's like, yeah. He's a huge
I'm really intimidated by the football player with the highest pitched voice you've ever heard in your life.
What a bizarre thing. Anyway, that was a fact you may not know, and I'm glad to once again have one that you didn't know and probably didn't need to know. But it was fun. As far as the storyline for this game, obviously it's coming in UCF looking for its first Big 12 win of the season, first Big 12 win under Scott Frost, and trying not to let things maybe start to snowball. Obviously, they've lost just one game so far, but they obviously want to avoid back-to-back losses, especially losing a game at home on a Saturday night. And the other fact that I didn't know until I tweeted it on Monday is that this is the first night Big 12 game, Saturday night Big 12 game at the Bounce House.
That felt wrong to me until you told me that, and I tried to picture it and realized I can't really. I think the two space games went into the night a little bit. Like it was dark by the time those games were wrapping up. But yeah, like this is like a real like ESPN2 like big nighttime.
Because I thought
excited for the atmosphere and the energy because it's like that the Bounce House always gets going at night. And I think that despite the lot, what's happened?
I was saying I had the thought about it and I was like, surely they played a night game. And I was like, literally their last Big 12 home game was at night. And then I was like, wait, no, that was a Friday night. So that's why it said Saturday night. Yeah. Which is,
by the way, as I was talking, forgot that happened. I was assuming there had been no night game. But in my defense, that one doesn't count because it started, just as I defend myself. No, that game doesn't count at all because it started pouring rain and the whole crowd vanished. When was the last genuine, like, big time night atmosphere for the Big 12? Or for UCF, excuse me. When was it?
Gosh.
Is it like Cincinnati in 2022?
That was an afternoon game. That was a 3:30 game.
Oh God, you're right. When was it? If it was Louisville in 2022, I swear to God.
It might be Louisville. That's the first one that came to mind.
I'm looking at the schedule.
Because after Louisville came, I don't know if it was the next home game, but after Louisville came the Wednesday night SMU game.
And then there was the space game. Temple was at night, but
yeah, but that was a Thursday night.
That was a Thursday night. Oh my God. It's been like 3 years.
It was Louisville.
Since they've had a big
I've said this on the podcast, but a friend of mine, Thomas, said one time to me when I first met him that his take was that the Louisville game in 2022 was the night that the Bounce House died.
Yeah.
And I think I've said it on the podcast before, but to now bring that back full circle and say like that was the last big time like night game atmosphere, that was a long time ago.
It was indeed. And I don't know if we've talked about his take on the podcast before, and I don't know if I fully buy it, but I do think it was kind of what we talked about with North Carolina and the crowd. It's like the Bounce House can be such a fun atmosphere when it's like hyped and things are going and there's energy, but like under Gus, it was just, there were too many disappointments. Once it was like the fifth time everyone got hyped up for a game and then the game's not even competitive or just boring. It's like the energy just saps. Like it was by the end of 2022. It was like UCF's ranked and they got that. And they have a home game with a sellout crowd. It was Navy and it was just kind of quiet. Like the energy was just kind of, and we've seen the reversal of that a little bit. Like UNC was a fun freaking environment. Like the stadium was rocking the most it's been in a minute. And that was for a day game. So like the energy is still there. The fan base is still invested right now. I'm expecting a really good atmosphere and I'm really excited for that because I've been craving that like big time Bounce House night game atmosphere. And it's been so freaking long since we saw that.
And you can feel it. You could feel it too, like last year or like say early in the game. Like I've thought that even given the circumstances, like everybody's pretty hyped up before that BYU game. Going early on in the BYU game, full crowd with a lot of BYU fans too, but it was a pretty good atmosphere until obviously the game started. Like it happened a lot where it was like the place fills up, but you got to give them something to latch onto. And
you can't ask fans to stay engaged, especially when the game's uninteresting, and especially when UCF is just like, if you don't give them some big moments. We've talked about this before, and I don't mean to take us off the rails even more, but it's like the moments are a part of it too. And I feel like we're maybe getting almost, because even when UCF's offense was rolling under Gus, unless they were playing really inferior competition, like I don't know, it was just a lot of like methodical drives without like big like cheering crazy moments. Like it was like a Mackenzie Milton like home run touchdown pass to like Trey Nixon or something that the Bounce House explodes. It's this big burst of energy, and then that energy kind of settles and stays at a higher level because people are amped. You didn't get that in the Gus offense, which whatever, win games everyone want to win. The problem was they just weren't winning them either. So just like, I don't know, the energy just kind of degraded over that era.
The only time you would was when RJ would break off like a 40-yard touchdown run.
Oh, yeah.
The one in, I think back to Oklahoma State, which that was a 3:30 kick, but it was also pouring down rain. But he had the big like 75-yard touchdown run or something like that. And you'd get it sometimes. But I'm thinking back to, and obviously it was just Saturday and it was on the road, but the 82-yard touchdown pass, like when you could get these explosive plays, the big Jaden Nixon run, even earlier this year against A&T when Jaden Nixon returns the kick for a touchdown to start the game, like that place was going crazy. So there's a little bit more to it, I think. And I don't know. I'm hoping it was funny because last week at a certain point before the game, obviously, when I was dreaming about UCF starting 4-0, I was like, this could be a 4-0 UCF against a 4-1 Kansas. Then UCF lost to Kansas State, and Kansas lost to Cincinnati. So
turns out not so much.
3-1 versus 3-2, but I still think it's going to be a pretty good atmosphere. 7:30 kick is a
the fan base still seems super engaged. We've been here before, and we've been here before that. We've done UCF starts 3-0 and then drops one, and both other times it's then spiraled into a 5-game losing streak. So we are just looking for that to not happen. And that's the other thing I want to say before we get into offense and defensive stuff. Like, a win here gets you 2 wins away from a bowl. It gets you 2 wins away from a bowl, and it matches last year's win total. A win on Saturday, and I'm throwing a parade. Like, I will organize a parade. And I'm not saying, I don't mean that like the win would be that. I don't mean it's that impossible. I just mean, I feel like we can all like unclench a little bit and just be like, oh, okay. Like, they're going to find some wins, and they'll almost certainly go to a bowl if they only find 2 more at this point in the season. It
would do that. And it would keep them undefeated at home with West Virginia, Houston, and Oklahoma State left on the home schedule too. Like, it would be so massive.
I mean, that would be like gift wrapping the rest of the season for yourself, and just giving fans more. Like I said, we talked about the importance of like getting the new students engaged and like keeping fans engaged. And another, like, whatever's going to happen on the road happens on the road. Keeping the bounce house fun, defending the bounce house, winning those games, that is so critical to brand building and fan base building and all that stuff that UCF's been lacking the last couple of years.
I've had another dream as we're sitting here talking about this, and I don't like it because now it's not going to happen. But if they win this game, like I just mentioned, they'd be 4-1. They'd be 2 wins away from bowl. Imagine they go on next week and beat Cincinnati on the road, and they're 5-1.
Which, like, we're so stupid. Because I know. Like, full disclosure, I don't think they're beating Kansas, and we'll get into that. I think they're going to lose this game, but
me too. But it would just, I don't know, it's just nice to think about. But yeah, all right, let's get into offense and defense.
Can I drop my Kansas road game stat? Is this a good time to drop that?
Yeah.
I thought this was interesting because Kansas is not there. There is a podcast you can go listen to that we did in like 2021 where we're talking about how UCF will have at least 1 win in the Big 12 every year, and it'll be Kansas. That was before Lance Leipold had done his thing, and now Kansas is all, annoying and respectable and hard to beat. For all the success they've had, and he's dug them out of a hole, and they've had some good years in there. They were like a top 25 team for a little bit. 5 seasons as Kansas's head coach, 5 Big 12 road wins in that span. The vast majority of their successes come at home, which I find
I have them too if you want them.
Go ahead.
BYU in 2024, Iowa State in 2023, Cincinnati in 2023, an overtime win against West Virginia in 2022, and a win over Texas in 2021. So they've been pretty spread out.
The Texas one is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, the wins on the road for them are few and far between. And given how the bounce house has been lately, regardless of some of the on-field issues for UCF, I don't think they're walking into just an easy environment here. I really don't.
And that's what does give me a little bit of hope, is that maybe this Kansas team is just a different team at home than it is on the road.
Right.
Given that
Which is the thing. That's a real phenomenon.
They did just lose at home.
They did just lose it. But we also don't know how good they are this year yet. I don't know. We're going to talk about it now. They've had a weird start to their year. Like, they're 4 games in, and I just don't know what to make of them.
Speaking of not knowing what to make of them.
Or 5 games, excuse me, but go ahead.
UCF's offense versus Kansas's defense. You texted me this on Sunday morning. Kansas is 85th nationally in total defense. They're 104th in pass defense. They're 88th in run defense. But they've held every opponent other than Missouri and Cincinnati under 10 points.
This is what I'm saying. What are you supposed to evaluate about that? Like, they rank like garbage, but then they also, like, except for the 2 power teams they've played, they just cook everybody?
Or they beat Fresno State 31-7. They beat Wagner 46-7. You can throw that one out. They beat West Virginia 41-10.
Yes.
And then they lost to Missouri 42-31. They lost to Cincinnati this past Saturday 37-34. So it's like, if that's the case, if UCF can score more than 10 points, you like their chances, because whatever. It doesn't work out that way. But
the other thing I will say is if the West Virginia score is scaring you, because 41-10, you see that and you're like, oh, they beat the hell out of a team that's kind of in a similar situation to UCF. West Virginia is shaping up to be horrible. Like, they beat Pitt in overtime, and that is very much looking like the aberration. They lost at Ohio. Kansas beat them 41-10. Then they lost to Utah at home 48-14. So, like, guys, that's the other thing too, is like, I'm glad, like, if you're a West Virginia podcast, I think you're just out of things to talk about. I think you're just waiting for next year. Like, at least we're like still in it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just hard to get a read on Kansas because Missouri is undefeated and is ranked. They're 5-0. They're ranked number 19. They're clearly very good. So, like, I don't want to just. I don't know. The Cincinnati one's more interesting because we don't really know what Cincinnati is yet, but I just have a hard time buying that Cincinnati is that much more talented than UCF. So I'm a little curious now, but you look at like those 2 games, Prabula, remember him, Bo Prabula, one-time UCF target at Mizzou. he went 30 of 39 for 334 yards when he played Kansas. And then Brendan Sorsby for Cincinnati went 29 of 43 for 388 yards. So even West Virginia threw for 142, Fresno State threw for 179. So if UCF's going to lean on the passing game, which is kind of seemingly the only way they can have success on offense based on what we know right now, feels like the opportunity is going to be there.
Yeah, and I like to think UCF is in a better place than West Virginia. I don't think they're quite in the same. They're definitely not in the same place as Missouri. But if they can be similar to where Cincinnati is, if they can put up 28 to 31 points, I think the defense is going to keep you around it and give you a chance.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, can this offense figure it out a little bit more than they did at Kansas State? They look more like the offense that played UNC. Maybe they've got a shot.
To me, that's how it's going to happen. Which I know that sounds silly to say, but I do think there are games, and we'll talk about them as they come up on the schedule, where we'll do our preview pod, and I'll say the defense is going to have a big day. The offense just needs to throw up a few touchdowns, and they can try to get a win. This isn't that game. The offense does need to produce, and we kind of have a 2-game Power 4 sample size here of North Carolina, where they produced with ease and scored a lot of points and did a good job, and Kansas State, where they were kind of shut down. And for Kansas, the optimistic angle is, if you want to go that route, is that Kansas has struggled to stop teams through the air. That seems to be what UCF is going to lean on here. And if Taven can have a good day. And the other thing we didn't talk about as much from Kansas State is the receivers kind of had a down day, and Frost was kind of critical of them in post game, and they need to find more consistency too. But the thing that just keeps nagging at me a little bit are, one, we're still not sure how healthy the quarterbacks are. And two, I don't know how many games in the season we have to get through before we see UCF have a real solid run performance where I'm not just going to be freaked out. That has to be part of it. No matter what defense you're playing, that has to be part of it. And they have to find a way to get that going to some degree on Saturday.
I have that here because running it more consistently is the thing. You and I texted about this earlier this week, and the big explosive plays are nice, but you can't rely on them every week. It can't be your offense. So this past weekend, Miles Montgomery had 10 carries, 119 yards, but he had a carry of 45 yards and a carry of 44 yards. So you take those out, his average drops to 3.8 over his other 8 carries. Most of those 119 yards came on 2 carries. With Jaden, he had the 54-yard touchdown run. He finished the day with 66 yards on 5 carries. So he was around 3 yards a carry on the other 4 carries. So the explosives are nice, especially they're going to turn into touchdowns, but you can't control the ball that way. You can't control possession. You're going to leave your defense out there on the field a lot more. You're going to have these drives that go 3 plays in 42 seconds, and that's not sustainable against good teams. It's not sustainable against this Kansas offense. So that's what scares me.
It's one of the cardinal rules of football is you can't go into a game relying on the explosive plays. You can't go, that's how we'll win this. They're great. We're not telling UCF, hey, stop doing that. Stop having Jaden go for 60 yards. That's great. I hope that keeps happening. But we're 2 games in against Power 4 opponents, and drive to drive, down to down, we literally have not seen UCF be able to move the ball on a single drive effectively on the ground. We literally have not seen it happen yet through 2 Power 4 games, and it's just that you can throw you can throw the ball as well as you want. It's not even like they're working with superstars there. They've got a quarterback who's shown he can be pretty consistent in short range and mid range passing. You've got a stable of wide receivers who none of them are stepping up as a star, but all of them have shown they can contribute. That's just not enough. They need to be able to establish a ground game.
It would be nice to get Dylan Wade back this week with the passing game.
Get Dylan Wade back this
week. Would be huge. But yeah, the consistency of the wide receivers is something that they haven't been able to rely on, which I didn't ever really think they were going to be able to rely on them. Yeah. But I think they have a group of enough guys that some of them are going to have a decent enough day to get you by through the air. But again, the run game just has to be better. It doesn't have to be elite because it's clearly not going to be elite at any point this year. It doesn't seem like, but it has to be better than what it is right now.
Right now, I'd describe it as apocalyptic. And I know that sounds harsh. And I know it sounds kind of dumb if you look at the stats, but like we talked about, it's the explosive plays. You take them away, they cannot run the ball. They've been incapable, and you can see it on TV.
This is the thing that Brian Kelly was yelling about 3 weeks ago when the guy asked him about their inability to run the ball. He's like, we had a 50-yard run at the end of the game.
That's not – and he knows – what's extra funny is Brian Kelly knows exactly what he's doing, and LSU's offense was able to do nothing in the next game after he got mad about that. But it's
the one you can't point to one run and be like, oh, see, the offense can run the ball. They're fine. It's not.
I think if they could get the running game to just somewhat average, it would be enough to open up the passing game to the point that with the personnel they have and the talent they have, they can take advantage of that and put up points. They just got to find a way to get to average. And I don't With the O-line, I don't know. We'll see. It might just not be a thing that they're capable of, but I have to believe it can be better than it was against Kansas State. And I also, while Kansas has improved a lot, Kansas State, like their whole claim to fame is what they are in the trenches. Like that's their whole thing. So like I'm thinking and hoping it'll be a little better for UCF this game than it was against K-State, regardless of what the records were going into the game.
Or the last time UCF met Kansas, because they did dominate in the trenches in that game. But
that was it.
It was a different, I don't know. I would say it was a different UCF team, but
I wasn't going to say that was a different UCF team. I was going to say, okay, I'm allowed to say the name if it's very contextually relevant. I've decided. I keep changing rules. Because I have to say the name. That was also the game where John Rice Plumlee played quarterback and was clearly still hurt and looked afraid to move, and then he got hit once and took himself out of the game, and Gus lost. Like that game was, yes, Kansas was a lot more physical than UCF and a lot more talented, but that game was like a lot of fun.
I guess in that context, I'm thinking more of what they did to UCF's defense. So I guess we can.
But again, I will say another thing, not to totally discredit your point. I'm sorry. The other thing is that was the year that UCF had no linebackers, and Kansas's entire game plan was attack the linebackers. So like that was part of it too.
Was that the Ryan Davis game?
It was the Ryan Davis game.
Yeah, that was
rough. Kansas ended a player's career essentially. Like that was awful. But yeah.
UCF's defense versus Kansas's offense, and as much as UCF's inconsistency on offense scares me, Kansas's offense, and as much as I like UCF's defense right now, Kansas's offense scares me. You text again, more stuff that you texted me this week. They're averaging 37 points per game against Power 4 teams. So that's not even factoring in Fresno State, who they scored, 31 on? They scored 46 on Wagner. Yeah. This team can score. Jalen Daniels is back for his 12th year at quarterback. He's got 1,200 yards passing, 16 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, rushing 214 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. He scares me. Yeah. He scares me, especially when he's a guy like we just watched UCF's defense struggle to contain the run against Kansas State, where, Dylan Edwards ran for 166 yards. He had 75 on 1 carry, but he did run the ball pretty well consistently. And then the 2 quarterbacks, Avery Johnson and the other guy that just spawned out of nowhere, Blake Barnett, they combined for 98 rushing yards and about 6 yards a carry. So it does worry me a little bit that Jalen Daniels might just be able to kind of get whatever he wants on the ground when it's there. And
I don't think he will. And my reasoning for discounting all of those scary stats is UCF's defense had a really good first half. And the cracks were starting to show as we got near halftime. And then in the second half, it just kind of fell away. And some of that goes to the defense, obviously, but it just, with the way the offense was performing and how much time that defense was forced to be on the field, that's what happens. Like you let an offense try, you get more tired. That's half of it. The other half is you let an offense keep adapting to you and keep to try new things and get more plays out there over and over. They're going to start finding stuff that's working. And honestly, UCF's defense handled the surprise 2 quarterback thing fairly well. And Avery Johnson got his on, early on, or every now and then, there'd be a play where it's just he doesn't have a clean pocket. He gets out of there. He's a mobile quarterback. He's going to do that. Jalen Daniels would do the same, but it wasn't egregious to me. It wasn't something that UCF just couldn't handle.
I'm going to flip back too and say maybe it was a little bit of a benefit that they faced the team they just faced and now are facing a quarterback who's going to try to do some of the same things. Yeah. Because there's stuff that you would like to see Alex Grinch and this defensive staff fix. I only think really back to one play early in the game. I think it was the first third down. It was 3rd and 8. And the pass rush does a good job of getting to Avery Johnson and flushing him out of the pocket, but he had an escape route right up the middle, and there was no one in the middle of the field. Yeah. And it's stuff like that where you've got whether you want to spy the guy or whether somebody missed an assignment there, you can't expect your pass rushers to flush a guy completely. I don't know. If they got to him, great. But the way they flushed him, he had an escape route right up the middle, and they're going to take it every time and get 25 yards the way he did. So that's what scares me, but it also makes me feel like that's the kind of thing that they can watch that on tape and say, this is how we're going to defend this. And it's not always defensible. Sometimes a quarterback is just elusive. Rocco Beck did it to UCF last year. Sometimes a quarterback is just hard to get to. But stuff like that where they have such an easy escape, that's what you got to fix.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you now, it's 6:02 p.m. on a Tuesday. Like, there's going to be a play that Jalen Daniels is going to make with his legs that's going to make you just want to bash your head on a table. It's going to happen. It just is the nature of playing a quarterback like that. And I think the meanest, like, not good thing I can say about Jalen Daniels is, like, I'm realizing now that the game is here, because we didn't talk a lot this offseason about the Kansas game. There were other games that just pulled our attention more. And part of that was, this sounds awful to say, but it's like he's had such an unfortunate journey health-wise. Mm-hmm. I just don't think I ever really bought he was going to be healthy and thriving by the time this game rolled around. And I
think we mentioned that at the podcast. Yeah. I was like, we don't even know who Kansas' quarterback is going to be by the time we get there.
Yeah, and that's great for him. I don't want that to come across as being
to his credit, like that's great for him and for Kansas, because their season, I mean, they are 3-2, which is not where they want to be, but he changes their offense completely.
Oh,
and
my
the fact that he's been able to stay healthy has been huge for the offense. And I think he does scare me. They've got some playmakers. Their running back LaShawn Williams averaging 6.4 yards per carry over 38 carries. Emmanuel Henderson Jr., wide receiver, he has 435 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's averaging around 19 yards a catch, so big plays down the field.
He's the one who's scares me.
What did Jonathan Gannon say? Shots, explosives. Pew, pew. This offense scares me. I like UCF's defense, but if we want to get kind of more back into our general thoughts, and before we give our,
I do want to say really one more thing on the defense really quickly is I do think that, we've had a lot of praise for the defense, and rightfully so. And some things got exposed against Kansas State. I still don't think all of it was on them. I think that was just the nature of the way the game played out. Like, I think the some of the stats they allowed are a little misleading. This feels like the prove it game a little bit for the defense. And I don't mean that they need to go out there and hold Kansas to like 13 points. And oh my God, they're this elite. It'd be great. I'd be thrilled. Don't think it's going to happen. Like, prove you're one of the best defenses in the conference or the country, nothing like that. It's just, you can show that you're different. If Kansas comes out there and just gets what they want for 4 quarters and does what they've been doing and has another 37+ point performance, then we're going to have to recalibrate a little bit where we're at on the defense and say, okay, we might have heaped a little bit too much praise too fast. They don't really have the guys or the scheme to compete with the top tier teams in the conference, particularly since Kansas as of right now is not shaped up to be one of those teams.
Yeah.
But if they pester Jalen Daniels, if they get him on the ground a few times, if they shut down these, because let me tell you right now, Emmanuel Henderson is a lot of their receiving game. So if you can limit him or shut down some of the other guys, if you can hold Kansas to like a 21-point, 24-point game, then we can start talking like, okay, offensive issues aside, this defense is something they can build on for the rest of the season. And that's what I'm hopeful we'll see. But
their second leading receiver is their tight end, and he has like 160 something yards, I think. It's like 300 fewer yards almost than Henderson. So,
and UCF's got so many playmakers in the secondary. I kind of feel like that they might match up well there. We'll see.
Yeah. The thing, Jalen Daniels is only throwing the 2 picks, so I think UCF's defense has done a pretty decent job taking the ball away. They got the early pick against Kansas State on the tight end pass. But I don't know.
Pick every game, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and they're going to have to continue that. They're going to, because you need to set the offense up with chances to take advantage of good field position. Just that's the nature of where this offense is. And if we're done with the defense, I was just going to say, generally, the problem I'm having with this game is that I can see it going a lot like the Kansas State game did.
Yeah,
like I can see a point where the defense starts fine, but the offense just kind of can't really get anything going. And I don't even think that would be, because I think Kansas State's defense got out to a really, really good start. UCF's offense obviously did nothing, but I think it was just a lot of really good play by Kansas State's defense. This isn't as good of a defense, I don't think. But if UCF's offense gets out to a slow start and the defense tries to hold its own, great. But I could see it also turning into a thing where eventually it just catches up to them. Jalen Daniels starts to get going and takes advantage of some holes here and there of what they can expose. So I'm afraid it's going to go very similarly.
It can't be a repeat. And I think it's an unfortunate spot that UCF's in right now, because like I said, and you'll see in my score prediction in a second, I think UCF is going to lose this game. I think Kansas is really good. And I'm not like, I don't know, I'm a little concerned for the next game, even because I'm a little worried the Cincinnati score was more indicative of Cincinnati's progress than Kansas's downfall. But and it's also a situation where Kansas came in hoping to try to compete for the Big 12 this year. It's their last chance with Jalen Daniels. This is an important game for them. Like, this is not some like, oh, just Big 12 slate, let's get a win. Like they're the narratives that are going to form around Leipold if they don't win are going to be significant. It's an important game.
Yeah.
But what's unfortunate is that if UCF does lose this game, which is probably the most likely outcome, if I'm just being totally honest, is that Cincinnati game becomes so immensely important because at that point, it's like you cannot do the slide again. Like fans are done with the just don't win games all October and go on a 5-game losing streak. So like I want them to win just because it would be cool to win a game at the Bounce House like that and just in front of a great crowd, and it'll be fun. We'll have a fun post-game podcast after, but also just because it ramps up the pressure in such a frustrating way if they don't. So it sucks that this game is now. This would be a great time for Oklahoma State, but you're getting Kansas. So
I was trying to look it up right now. Yeah, right now the line is Kansas -4.5 with the over/under set at 54.5.
Yeah, you don't love being a home dog, but I get it.
No,
I really do.
I do. No, I completely understand it, and if we're gonna get our score predictions, I don't trust UCF's offense enough to keep up with Kansas's. I just don't. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we see more of what we saw against North Carolina. I don't know. It's hard for me to predict that. And if you're going to ask me if I trust Jalen Daniels and the Kansas offense, I think they're going to get it done. I have Kansas 33, UCF 24.
I have Kansas 34, UCF 24, excuse me. So we're very close.
Yeah. That's kind of the 33-24. UCF just lost 34-20. I kind of went along with I think it's going to go pretty similarly to Kansas State. And I think the best hope for UCF is, one, obviously it's defense coming out and figuring out a way to shut them down. But if Kansas truly is a different team on the road versus what they are at home, and they just, for whatever reason, can't get it going and completely fall flat, that'd be great. I'd love it. And it would be a fun night at the Bounce House, but I don't know.
Really fun. I know. I really want us to get back to being able to talk about the Bounce House as a foreboding environment. It bothers me more than it should when I see, because it's just like off-season stuff like always, but it's like, ranking the Big 12 stadium atmospheres or stuff like that. And like, there was a time where like, there would be national lists of like top 25 atmospheres and the Bounce House would make it just because UCF was so good and the place was always rocking. And now it's like, I see the Big 12 list and UCF's like literally usually like 15th or 16th. And I can't blame Big 12 people for thinking that because UCF has not taught the Bounce House yet. And I'd like, just like we'd like to see that UCF can be good in this new era, I'd like to see the Bounce House can be a forebode. I want that to be a place the Big 12 teams go, God damn it, we have to go play at UCF. And they're showing that. UNC is going to be thinking that for a while now. So it's just that they can get that going in conference too. And just whatever happens on the road happens. Just defend the Bounce House, please. I think that's critical for this season and just for my personal mental health. So for the best on that.
I agree. Let's speed run through the football news and game of the week because we got to get out of here pretty soon. UCF Houston on November 7th. This was something that was released last week. We knew it was going to be a Friday night game for the space game, but we now know kickoff 8 o'clock on FS1. We knew FS1, but 8 o'clock is the piece of new news there. UCF Cincinnati will kick off next week at Nippert Stadium at noon on FS1 as well. And then real quick, we get through the UCF and the NFL update. Matt Prater hit a 35-yard field goal in all 4 of his PAT attempts in the Bills' 31-19 win over the Saints. He might be on his way out because Tyler Bass is coming back from injury, I think, this week, so we'll see. RJ Harvey had the game that we've been kind of hoping and waiting for him to have on Monday Night Football. He ran 14 times for 58 yards, averaging 4.1 yards per carry. He caught four passes for 40 yards and a 12-yard touchdown, his first career touchdown, and the Broncos' 28-3 win over the Bengals. And he is now up for NFL Rookie of the Week honors. So I think that's one of those things you can go vote on. So it'd be nice, UCF fans, if you can go out and vote for that. And then last thing, coming up this week on Sunday morning, it looks like Dylan Gabriel may get his first start for the Browns in London on Sunday morning against the Vikings. So that's another interesting piece of
do we claim that?
I don't know if we claim it. I'm just interested in it personally. I don't know.
I never thought he could play in the NFL, even when he was here. And I think I said that, but because he's tiny. But who knows?
It'll be interesting to see because we'll see how quickly he gets the boot and then how quickly they end up turning it over to Shedeur because I feel like that's just the natural progression of how this is going to go. They've already given up on Joe Flacco. And if he's good, then great.
Yeah. I feel like I don't dislike Shedeur by any I don't know. I don't dislike, like some people really hate everything Sanders related. I just think it's like some of the stuff he said is kind of crazy, but I feel like for storylines, it would be really funny if like Gabriel just won't relinquish the job. Like they clearly just want to go to Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel keeps doing like just enough to hold
after
on.
It came out that Shedeur was like, I don't want the Ravens to draft me. Like, don't draft me because I don't want to back up Lamar. That was crazy.
That's what I was referring to. That's freaking wild, but yeah.
Game of the week, UCF volleyball. They're 10-3, 1-1 in the Big 12. They're on the road this week. We'll focus this game on Colorado Thursday at 9 p.m. Colorado is 11-2, 2-0 in the Big 12. They are the highest vote getter, highest receiving votes getter in just outside the top 25. So they'd be right around 26. So this would be a big win for UCF if they can get one on the road. Then they wrap up the road trip with Iowa State on Saturday. Tweet of the week.
Tweet of the week. Really quickly before tweet of the week. This is kind of a short podcast, and I just want to say, in case you're feeling shortchanged, they're having a little bit of a medical issue with one of my parents' dogs, which is why we're doing this quickly. Just a heads up. Yeah. So don't be mean to me. I'm sorry that the podcast is 10 minutes shorter than usual. But anyway, tweet of the week this week goes to, you all know him and love him, JP Gilbert on Twitter, who
I do love him.
We love very much, but no one is immune from tweet of the week. He tweeted, "I'm sorry, but we cannot continue to have an unserious name like Knights in a state with schools with names like Seminoles, Gators, and Hurricanes. Those 3 schools have top 10 names nationally. Don't care about preeminence. Let's focus on things that actually matter." I have a couple issues with this. My first is, I know I've said this before, I still think Miami Hurricanes is a really insensitive name. Like, I just think it's wild that it's like Hurricanes are this horrible thing that like come and attack America and kill people every year. And Miami's like, that's our mascot. Hey, alligators kill people too. Knights haven't killed anyone in centuries. So we've got that going for us.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute. I think they were pretty bad at one point, but it's fine. He gets tweet of the week for this, not because you guys know that I think this is nonsense whenever people go on this. JP is getting tweet of the week because JP, this is not a September conversation. Like, we can't be doing this. UCF just lost like a game on the road and we're trying to figure out, let's like, can we do that? Like, either wait till the season's shot and there's nothing left or save for the offseason. I can't be like,
or the space
focus on like, or space game week. I can't focus on this and then also like the other Twitter fights about the actual season. So it's time and a place. It's time and a place.
I do want to say I didn't do this on purpose. I really didn't do this on purpose. For anyone watching on the YouTube, I'm wearing a Citronauts hat. I've got Squeezer in the background here. I've got the space helmet up. Like, this was not a statement. I realized it like a little bit, like, I don't know, probably 30 minutes ago. And I was like, oh, I'm not making a statement on this ongoing debate that's going on right now. On
the drippy with all the
Twitter.
Space uniforms.
Yeah, it's all over. But
it's actually, you could not be more aggressively space if you wanted to. But again,
if it said like a different thing, if it didn't say, I don't know, if it said Citronaut Avenue or something.
Also, our fact you may not know is about space, so we're really crushing it. But it's not the content of the tweet. It's that this is such an off-season conversation. We can't be doing this in September.
It's more that he knew what he was doing by stirring this up right now.
Oh, sorry.
There goes your alarm. We got to go.
That was the alarm. All right, got to get off the podcast.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate it. We'll be back late Saturday night, 7:30 kick. It will be late when we go live for the post-game show, episode 292. But until then, you can find us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at @ByCA Simmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We will talk to you on Saturday.
Bye, everybody.